Welcome to the first model, why you feel like you feel and how to handle it. And we directly start into the first lesson that is called Love is an Addiction. Did you know that love is the hardest addiction on the planet? Even harder than cocaine or opiates? Well, I was quite surprised as well, but it's definitely a fact. For example, in studies done by Guy Winch, he found out that the withdrawal of romantic love is creating the same symptoms in our brain that people experience when they withdraw from hard drugs like cocaine or opiates. The reason for that is that after a breakup, our brain is not stopping to love the other person. It's continuing to love the other person. And obviously this is creating the withdrawal.
Withdrawal of romantic love activates the same mechanisms in our brain that are activated when drug addicts withdraw from cocaine or opiates.
Imagine a baby with the mother, it's playing with the mother, and for some reason the mother needs to go urgently somewhere. So the baby is alone. What is happening with the baby? It's starting to cry, it's starting to freak out. And in this case, our brain, in this case our rector stimulus, is an overdrive. And this is very similar to the experience of a drug addict. You can imagine this like this. Our regular hits of dopamine, oxytocin and serotonin are from one minute on the other not anymore available to us, which is creating the withdrawal. To explain you this a little bit better, I want to show you here some tables. Imagine that. This is basically 3 tables and we have here, the first one is dopamine. Dopamine is mainly responsible for emotions, in this case pleasure and pain. Then we have serotonin, that is obviously famous as the happy hormone, and oxytocin, that is mainly responsible for social bonding and the sexual reproduction. So now, when we are in love, especially when we are fresh in love, all these ones are on the highest level possible. That's why we experience this state of bliss, also known as the honeymoon effect. After a breakup, however, what's going to happen is that all these hormones go down and they are like on the bottom. And this can cause even states like depression and anxiety. So that's exactly the reason why we feel like we feel after a breakup. And our brain now is trying to help us to soothe the pain through, it's called methadone. Methadone is the same that they give to heroin addicts when they withdraw from heroin. So basically that means what our brain does to help us is showing us happy memories and nice moments. And through showing us that, it's creating a short hit of dopamine, oxytocin and serotonin. But obviously it helps us only for a short time. The same with a fix of a drug, it only goes for a short time and then again we fall down. Because we obviously realize that the other person is gone. So I can just tell you about myself. After my breakup, I was checking my phone approximately every 5 minutes to check if maybe it's coming a message, if maybe it's coming some story on Instagram or whatever with some hidden message. I was crazy, even checking things like, do you know Facebook Nearby? This is a place where, application on Facebook where you can check where the other person is. I mean, that's completely crazy, right? But I believe for some of you it sounds familiar.
If love is an addiction, I'm suffering from a drug withdrawal syndrome.
The funny thing, love has been first of all a natural addiction that has been created already 4.4 million years ago when we have been living in caves. The main purpose of it has been to motivate our ancestors to focus only at one partner at a time. Why was important? And very simple. Imagine like this. We have here a man, right? And here we have a woman. And somehow they start to like each other. And then they get to know each other a little bit better and they have sex and then they produce children. So now we have a mother with children and a man. So the problem is we have also basic urges, right? And one of that, and a very strong one, is our sexual instinct. And I imagine they are a little bit together, but somehow there on this side, there's 3 hot chicks. And a man really likes them. And somehow through the sexual instinct, he's like jumping on them and he's running away with them to another cave. So now what's going to happen with the mother? She's alone. Maybe she cannot protect our children. Maybe they will even die. And now Mother Nature was very smart and created the natural addiction, love. So like you see, love has first of all been a positive addiction that was securing the future upbringing of our children. However, if love is not reciprocated, rejected or harmful, it can get to a negative addiction.
Romantic love is an addiction, a perfectly wonderful addiction when it's going well. and a perfectly horrible addiction when it's going poorly.
We want to explain you why love is an addiction, and we found studies that back this even up, that explain you exactly why you feel like you feel, and they're mainly responsible are the hormones and chemicals in your body for the way you feel after a breakup. To go a little bit deeper into that, I want to bring on now my good friend Borko that will tell you a little bit more about this.
The pain Johannes felt, the pain I have felt in my life many times, and you are feeling right now, it's real, 100% real, and there are many researchers around the world showing us that. My favorite research comes from Helen Fisher from Rutgers University. She wrote 6 books on evolution and future of sex, love and relationships, and she did one amazing study where they took subjects and they did an MRI scan while the people were looking at photographs from their exes. The conclusion that made, it's amazing. People, when we think about our ex, the part of our brain which are active are the same part of our brain responsible for addiction, motivation, reward and obsessive compulsive disorder. So this is hard proof why it's so hard when we have a heartbreak, why it's so hard to move on from a heartbreak. But don't worry, we will help you and guide you through the whole process. Now we're gonna continue with her statement.
We put 15 people in the brain scanner who have been dumped on an average of 62 days beforehand, and they were a real mess. Oh boy, were they a mess. We found activity in a brain region linked to feelings of intense romantic love. We also found activity in the region related to deep attachment to their partner. We found activity in 3 brain regions linked with craving and addiction. And we found activity in a brain region linked with physical pain and the distress that goes along with it.
In her published document, Love is an Addiction, Fisher states that the behavior that we have after a romantic breakdown, it's almost the same behavior that addicts have. Extremely focused attention, having mood swings, having amazing feeling of euphoria out of a sudden, falling down again, emotional dependence. All of these data are showing us that in a way love is an addiction, and that's her theory and our theory as well. And there are other researchers which are complementing her research. One of them is Lucy Brown from Yeshiva University. She did almost the same. Around New York, she took people and they were looking at photos from their ex while they had an MRI scan, and it was very interesting conclusion. 3 parts of the brain were the most engaged while they were looking at pictures from their exes. The medial insula, anterior cingulate cortex and the striatum, which, very interesting, are the same parts of the brain which are active for sexual arousal and the euphoria that cocaine addicts get. So it's a very interesting link that she made, and we're gonna hear his statement now.
The brains of the study subjects looked a lot like drug addicts, finding effects. In retrospect, it's not surprising that the same areas of the brain that were active in the brains of cocaine addicts were active in these people who were heartbroken, looking at a picture of their former romantic partner. We crave the other person just as we crave nicotine or pain pills. You want to be near the other person. You constantly thinking about them. We even do dangerous things sometimes to win them back. We don't eat or sleep.
Very interesting results, both from Helen Fisher and from Lucy Brown, which are showing us that love is actually an addiction, that it's a very serious condition, that we have to take it seriously in order to be able to progress in our life. Now I'm giving you back to Johannes.
Indeed, in the 2010 paper that the scientists published, they reported that the participants thought about their ex-partners around 85% of their waking hours. 85% of the waking hours! I mean, it's crazy, huh? I don't know about you, but I can definitely confirm that. Additionally, they reported a lack of emotional control for weeks or even months, inappropriate phoning or mailing, sobbing for hours, drinking too much, dramatic entrances in the rejected's home, or social places like the workplace where they maybe could be to express anger, resentment, or passionate love. And there you have it, the crazy behavior after every breakup. Proposed solution of the scientists. Remove every evidence that reminds you of your ex. Things like stuffed animals, love letters, postcards, blankets that you used together, photos on and offline. Remove it from your life. You don't need it anymore. Second, don't contact them. Because every kind of contact is just delaying your healing process. And some of them will feel morally blameless, others will feel guilty. However, nobody of them will know how to handle your grief. Additional to that, avoid any places or music or everything that is triggering romantic craving. So all of that is just stopping you to move forward. It is like the first drink that makes you drunk. Don't write this first email, make this first phone call, or write this first letter, because everything is just delaying your process. So listen up here, guys. 3 very important things. First of all, remove everything that reminds you of her. Second, don't go to places where they maybe could be, or listen to any romantic music. And third, and most important, don't contact them. Don't even think about it, because otherwise the whole program doesn't make sense.
Important note: if you have children together, then try to limit your communication only about the things that involve your children. And remember, cutting your ex doesn't mean you hate them, it just means you need time for yourself.
Hi guys, and welcome to our first call to action. Like the name says it, what we have to do is basically every day a task to improve our learning outcome. Actually quite simple. I really ask you to do that task. I know it takes a little bit of your time to do the lesson and also to do the task, but the task will help you to move forward faster. So what we're going to do today is very simple. We open up our workbook and we think about the things that we do, the crazy behaviors after the breakup, right? Like for example, the things that I told you, like I'm checking Facebook nearby where she is, or like I go to places where she maybe could be. So think about these things, write about 5 to 10 things, and then I see you tomorrow.